welcome to Sex RX. I'm Dr. Manny. Your sex life changes over time, but many people think once you get into your 50s, 60s, and even 70s, that it's over. My next guest has made it her mission to convince us otherwise. Joan Price is the author of The Ultimate Guide to Sex After 50, How to Maintain or Regain a Spicy, Satisfying Sex Life. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I'm 58. I gave up on sex.
Some people do.
It's too hard. My wife doesn't want to do it anymore. She says I'm too cranky, I'm too fat. I'm done. Well, you know, so what do you think? Why, you know, 10 years ago, people sort of, you know, I remember my father never having sex after he had me, but now people talk about it, I guess, right? You know.
Well, we're just starting to finally. And 10 years ago, when I started writing about senior sex, no one was talking about it. No one was talking about it in a way that was helpful and that was fun. We were getting, maybe if we got any messages at all, we got doom and gloom. You're going to dry up and blow away and might as well give up. And many people do give up, just like the examples you gave.
So why do people give up?
Well, they give up because these are people who were really sexually empowered before, who loved sex, you know, the sexual revolution.
I was very, you know, I'm Latin. I had the sauce back then.
I just still do?
You know, no, not anymore. Trust me, it's all gone.
No, we'll bring it back.
But why are there physiological things that happen to the body after 50 that prevents us from either feeling sexy, you know? You know what depresses me the most?
What does?
I'm going to get off script here. Every commercial is, you know, every man after 40 has some degree of, you know, erectile dysfunction. You know, so I'm reminded of all my problems all the time. So, you know, people give up.
Well, here's the thing. There are physiological changes. We're slower, our arousal is slower, we may have less dependable sexual function for all genders.
Right.
But if instead of giving up, we see this as an opportunity to explore what does work instead of what we were used to. Maybe some of the old ways don't work anymore. Maybe we need to adapt, be a little more creative, educate ourselves about what's happening with our bodies and what we can do about it. There are some people who report having the best sex of their lives at this age.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that, and you have written several books.
I have. I've written three self-help books.
So you know what you're talking about. One of the things you talk about is communication.
Yes.
What do you mean by communication? In other words, should we talk to each other about sex?
Well, we have to. Now, if we're partnered with someone and we're realizing that our sexuality is changing, our responses are a little different, we maybe want to explore getting more sensation using sex toys in the bedroom, finding maybe ways to keep a long-term relationship spicy, we need to talk about it. And very often we have this really dumb idea that, well, if he really loved me, he'd know what I wanted, he'd be able to read my mind. And mind reading is vastly overrated, never has worked, doesn't work now. We need to learn to talk about it in a way that doesn't blame the other person. We don't want to come out and say, you know what, I haven't liked sex with you for 15 months. We want to have a different way of saying, my sexual responses feel like they're changing. Could we go on a journey of exploration and figure out what might work better?
Let me ask you a question. Would you say that people over 50 in this generation, in 2015, have more of a problem with intimacy that, let's say, people 60 years ago had? Because, you know, the world today is so much more complex, full of, financial problems, social problems, economic problems, you name it. So there's a lot of more stress. You know, the depression business of providing drugs by manufacturers, from the Prozac to the Zoloft, is a multi-billion-dollar world that we didn't have 60 years ago. Is that impacting on sex rates?
I think what's impacting is that we have different expectations. That the expectations sort of fall into three camps. There are those of us who say, I want to have great sex, continue to have great sex. Help me, doctor, help me. Books help me, however I need counselors, so that I don't have to have a less rich sex life than I want to have. Then there's a second camp that says, well, I'm getting old. These problems I'm having must be because I'm old, and maybe I do need to give up on it. And then there's the third camp that says, what sex life? I think I remember sex.
Right. Yeah, I'm in that camp. Let's talk about some specific guidance we can give to people.
Yes.
All right? So assuming that you don't have a physiological problem, in other words, you don't have any major medical conditions that prohibit you from having intercourse. Let's say somebody in their 60s, okay? How do we approach, we talked about communication, in other words, hey, let's explore, let's have new adventures and all of that. You mentioned sex toys in the bedroom. Some people have a problem with that, whatever. But what other things can they do? I mean, do you agree with things like, for men, erectile dysfunction medication? You mentioned doctors. I mean, I don't know any doctor except professionals like yourself that are sex therapists that have the time or the desire to talk about a 60-year-old sex life.
We need to change that.
Oh, okay.
This is one of my big soapboxes, that we need to inform the medical profession that they do need to educate themselves about older age sexuality so that they can help us. Because 2/3 of people in my generation, in our generation, are having sexual problems, and many are having more than one sexual problem. And yet they don't talk to their doctors about it because they don't think there's time, or they don't feel right talking to someone the age of their grandkid about sex, or if they do talk about it, the doctor is sort of dismissive of, we need to be able to say to them, my sexuality is important to me. This is what's going on for me. Let's figure out if there's a medical reason. If so, what can we do about it? Let's diagnose it. Let's look at the drugs I'm on and see whether maybe this is because of a reaction to the drugs I'm on, a side effect. Let's see if maybe it is the interaction between two drugs I'm on or a medical condition I'm on. And if you can't help me, please refer me to someone who can. If my generation started saying that, and I'm 71, I don't mind saying that, if we started saying to our doctors, if you can't help me, please refer me to someone who can, we would get the doctors to understand, I need a referral list. I need a referral list for erectile problems, for vaginal pain, for all these other issues, for positions that are best after hip surgery or knee surgery, or what to do with arthritis.
All right. And I would argue, and I'm going to ask you the question because I think it is true, there is a health benefit at any age to be active in having a good, productive sex life, right? I
have a list of 33 health reasons to keep having sex.
Right. Give me top 2.
It strengthens the immune system.
Okay.
It guards against heart disease. It helps with sleep.
All right.
It aids in depression. I mean, there's so many things. And I can't think of a reason not to.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. All right, so I got it. I think I totally agree with you. But in the meantime, if your doctor doesn't know where to refer you, get the book, because it's very well written and very well researched by somebody who really knows the subject very well. And I do agree with you. I think that doctors should be more educated on sex problems, and patients should be more forthcoming.
We need to educate ourselves
and not
too.
being embarrassed and say, look, they go very quickly to say, the doctor, I have a headache. Tell them, listen, I'm not having a good sex life. Let's go over that and make that a sort of a talking point for the relationship between you and your doctor.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Where can people get more information on your book or your website?
My website is joanprice.com. My name.com, and from there are links for buying the books, learning more about them, a link to my blog, nakedatOurAge.com, and I look forward to interacting with a lot more people.
All right, lovely. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And if you have any health questions, you can send them here at Fox at drmanny@foxnews.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.